So this is how I evaluate to see if a property is going to be a good rental or not. I head over to Bigger Pockets. I used to use this website when I was first starting out, and it's been a wonderful website. I've learned a ton from it, and they have great calculators, and so I still use them. The calculator I usually use is this rental property one, but if there was one where I bought it cheap and I was going to fix it up and get equity out of it, I would use the Burr calculator. But if I'm just going to buy and see if it's going to be a good cash flowing rental property without having to do a lot of fixing, I would use the rental property. And with a free account, they let you have 2 free reports. So I am too cheap to upgrade to Pro, and so I just create a new account and I just keep doing it. New email, new account, new reports. So we'll go down here to start new report. Now like I said, I haven't done this for a long time, but it's a good way. It's a great calculator. So I'll do it on one of the houses that I bought a long time ago. One of my first houses I ever moved into was this one, and we'll see if it's a good rental or not in today's market. There we go. So now we go to the purchase price. In today's market, I bet it would go somewhere around the $80,000 mark. Closing costs will roughly be around $2,000 depending on which bank you use. You know, residential closing costs, like if you're buying for your primary residence, are going to be more than this. But for my bank, I know it's going to be somewhere right around this, maybe even less, to be honest. It is not a cash purchase. I know the banks want the 20% down if you're going to be buying, you know, right off the rip on a commercial loan. They're going to be right around the 7% interest rate, maybe even a smidge higher. They're always usually 1% or so higher than it on primary residences. Roughly the loan term, a lot of them want to get you on that 15-year amortization schedule. Most of them will do the 20 years, some will do 30, but they'll do the 5-year ARMs on those. And a 5-year ARM is 5 years, and then the rate is adjustable rate mortgage. That's what the ARM stands for. And so that's just something to consider. If you get ARMs, you usually want to try to finance those into fixed rates if you can. It's a lot harder on rental properties, but it can be done. The gross monthly income. I do know I can rent this for about $700. I'm sure in the spring or summer I could get $750 or so. Expenses, see, it already has the 1056 in there. You go on this site and you would scroll all the way down to, or just click price and tax history, and you will see right here the taxes are $1,014, so it already messed up. It's a good thing I checked, right? But this year it probably is 1056, but that's how you check that. Also, one thing I do, if you are looking at houses on realtor.com and you're looking at a cheap house that's assessed a lot lower than what you could buy it for, just know that when the county records that, this is going up. So I just wanted to share that a little bit. Not everyone knows that, but yeah, when you buy it, they're going to record it and they're going to give you a new assessment, and it's going to be higher. So just a heads up. I know insurance is somewhere around the $60 a month mark for a rental property. Okay, repairs and maintenance. These things are all very, very important. So the way I calculate it, if you buy, I would say, these smaller, older houses that are cheaper, they're gonna require more work. There's just no ways around it. Standard would be around 5%, but I like to go 10%. So that's $70 a month, you know, roughly, that you should probably set aside for some repairs and maintenance. It's just how it is. Vacancy, it's really a low vacancy. 5% is basically a month out of the year, and so that's pretty typical. I know if you're really good and you know a tenant's leaving 30 days before, you can try to get her rented and get everything going, but in my experience, it's usually around a month. If they leave the house clean and everything, it's around a month that you're gonna get someone else back in there. Capital expenditures, everything's going up in price, and this is your roof, your siding, your furnace, you know, things like that you should set away every month. And I would do 10%. On older homes, you know, maybe even up a little bit, but 10% is what I usually do. Management fees, you should calculate this whether you're going to do it or not, because someday you may change your mind. You may want a manager. I would say 10% is pretty average. Electricity, you know, the landlord on these single family homes does not usually pay anything for these utilities. You know, if you had an apartment or something, you'd have to figure that in there. One good way you check is just calling a line or going online and typing in the address and look at the trailing 12 and the average of the utilities, and then boom, there you go, you got that number. Finish your report. Let's see here. Your NOI per year is $4,000. Your cash on cash return is minus 8.68%. So I would say this is not a good investment. In today's market, you see this a lot more and a lot more, right? You know, this will go up. Could you stretch this? Maybe, right? But I wouldn't be comfortable buying something like this. 8% 5-year return, not great. You need a bunch of cash to lose money. So I think that would be really silly to buy something like this. It just doesn't work out. A lot of guys will tell you the 1% rule. Buy it for $70K, you rent it for $700. That's the 1% rule. I personally think that's not good. I don't know. Every investor is different, but I don't like that. I like to be in the 1.5 to 2% mark. So the closer to 2, the better. It's really hard to do, but that's what I would be shooting for, somewhere in the 1. So for example, yeah, I used to buy them around 40,000, and my all-in expense would be around 45. I'd like to see 600 out of that. You know, that's closer to that 1-ish% mark, a little bit better. And one thing you can do, and I have had compliments before, I think you can print these off. Alright, so let's say you had a good property, right? You print this sucker out and you bring it to the bank. I used to do this, and he thought it was awesome. Some don't care, some do. But let's say you got a good one, and you say, hey, you slap it down on his desk, say, hey, this is the property I'm looking at. You know, I got all these fees, you know, in here, and they're gonna be, oh, okay, this guy isn't fluffing his numbers, you know, none of that. He's actually doing, and then you can explain, I have 5% for vacancy because that's what I usually get, or 10% maintenance because it's an older home, and I'm gonna put that away every month. CapEx, older home, and we're gonna have big expenses. You know, if it's nice properties and really nice, and you're not gonna have anything for a while, you can put these down to 5%. But that's gonna save you another $100, and it's still not gonna equate out. But that's what I would do, and this is really how I used to do it every time, and it's quick. You know, that was really quick, and then I could kind of get an overview. See, the 50% rule, not good. Doesn't make sense, right? So this property I wouldn't do, but hey, I got one report left. I better save it for a good one. And that is how I literally would evaluate my rentals and how I go about my business. And if I thought, okay, this is worth looking into, I'd look into it more, go check it out, see really what I need to fix it up, what, you know, all the real numbers are going to be. But this is my first place I go to when I want to evaluate a property. So I just thought I'd share that real quick, and hopefully someone can learn something from it and maybe start evaluating their own properties. But this is how I did it.